Got my first 66 RFE in here, and we're going to do the kit from Chrysler in it. There's some updates that we're going to do to the overdrive clutches. So in the kit that you get from the dealership, you're going to get pretty much everything that you need to build this thing. You can get 2 new pressure plates for the updated clutches that you're going to put in it. It's your rebuild kit. You get your snap rings. You get your steels that you're going to have to replace. Both your filters. What else we got in here? We got the front cover that comes in it. So it's got everything that you need in this kit. And also on this one we're going to put the Transgo tuneless kit in the valve body. It says it fits 2011 through 2018, all RFE units. I've never put the tuneless kit in, so I'm not sure what all it's going to involve. The 66s have some problems with the overdrive clutches, like all of them burning. I'm going to have to sit down and go through these instructions, find out all we're going to have to do. Some of my parts are not going to show up for quite a few days. It's got a bad pump in it, which is fairly common, and my pump is not going to show up for 3-4 days if I'm lucky. It looks fairly similar to the other kit that I put in from Transgo, so I don't think we got anything too out of the ordinary here. It does have a different valve here that I'm not used to. Come with some bolts. Alright, let me go through the instructions on this thing and get everything washed up, and then we'll get going on this unit. I'll be back. Okay, we got our PR valve. Supposed to make sure there's no holes drilled in this, and there's not. Here's our factory spring. We're supposed to replace it with the red spring. This may not be big enough to push this back. Okay. Kind of hard to do this one on camera. A little stout. Okay, there we go. Now, depending on what valve we had in here, this is the type 2 valve. This is for the type 1 valve. This is for the type 2. Since we got the type 2, it's going in first. 266 thousandths ball. Our orange spring. Our new keeper. So this was the factory valve, a factory spring, and the keeper. And we don't need that valve. Here's this spring here, this valve. And we got this keeper. This little tab right here is going to face and sit right there. Here's our factory valve. Oh, I did forget to mention okay, they have you put this plate on here. Said to use 2 of the bolts that hold this together. They were way too long for me, so I just got shorter ones, and I put them in, tighten them down. The little leg is supposed to face this way, and forget what the size of this drill bit is. 182, I think. No, 90. I don't know where I got 182. So anyway, you line that up, you drill that hole right there, and you take the plate back off. And they give you a bore sizing tool. This right here. You're supposed to run that through there and make sure it's nice and free, and it cuts that burr out that you might leave when you drill that. So once all that's done, then you assemble it back. You put the original valve back in. Here's the factory spring and retainer. This little leg would face out in that hole that way. They give you 3 springs to put in there, and a new retainer. I will say this spring that comes in here, they're real bad about breaking, this retainer breaking, but they're also real bad about this spring ending up coming out through the keeper. You wouldn't think it could do it, but I've seen a lot of them where the spring was kind of, I mean, you have to really work at it here to get it to do it, but trust me, it does it in the vehicle. See if I can get it to do it. Yeah, sorta. It'll be sitting out there like that. So this is a much better setup for that. Now they also give you this valve if you're doing a triple billet converter to replace this valve, and it would just go in here, reuse the spring and the retainer. This one's not getting a triple billet converter, it's just factory. So we're going back with the factory valve and the factory spring and our retainer. This is probably not going to work very well. I'm going to have to find something else. And then we're going to make sure that we're centered up into the bore there. Waiting on the bonded plate if it shows, and I'm also waiting on my pump body and gears. So we're at a standstill on the pump. We'll go on off to the valve body. Alright, and before I forget, you got the seal here for the filter. goes into the pump first, and been running into a lot of quick lube places that want to leave it on the filter and try to shove it up in there, and you're guaranteed to burn up your unit if you do that. So do not do that. Alright, and all these accumulators except for the end one here, you got inner springs, and there's no need to take these out. If they're broken, just replace them. I just took it out to measure it and show you that in each one there's one in there. If you have a 68 RFE, one of them is going to be different, and one of the I think it's this end one here is going to be different also. Or no, I think it's this one, the single one on the end. And so you want to keep, if you got 68 RFE, you don't want to keep those all the same. I wouldn't go changing these up. But on this kit, they want this end one here, depending on what you're doing with it. It'll tell you in the instructions. For mine, they want the washer and the white spring. There's also a plain spring, so we're not going to be using that on this one. For the aluminum accumulators on the back here, they want you to put these expanders in and the sealing ring, so we're not going to be using those. I also give you a snap ring for the overdrive underdrive drum. We're not going to be using that since we already used the other one. So none of that's going to get used in there. On accumulators, our sealing rings are scarf cut. They go together just like that. I've already changed them, so we don't have to worry about that. On the end here, we got double springs all the way up. On the factory one, we have a single one out here. They want us to put the washer and the white spring. This is our factory valve and end plug that goes right here on this. They want us to change it out to this one. And this end plug. This is our factory plate that goes on here. The early units used to break these a lot. I haven't seen one broken in forever. Transgo's giving us this plate. They want you to put Loctite on these bolts. I'm just going to start them for the momentary. I'll go back and Loctite these and torque them down to the proper specs later. There's no point in me showing all that. So I'm just going to put a couple bolts in here to keep this from falling apart. Nothing's going to fall apart down here. I just need to make sure this valve doesn't fall out. So I'm just going to leave that like that for right now. We got this valve. We got this switch valve. Some of these are different, like this one. That one goes in the center. And our keeper is going to go with this facing the front. And we got our manual valves going to go in here. Alright. Set this down. I think we've got check balls that came. Alright. did not get no check balls in there. It doesn't look like. I thought we did. Alright, neither kit gave me check balls, so we got one that goes here, 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 and here. Alright, and we got this gasket that goes on here. And we have our new triple plate from Transgo. And I almost sent this thing back. It has been dropped. And this end got, let's see, one of these ends got kind of screwed up. I think I got it straightened out enough that it's going to be okay. Alright, then we got that gasket that goes on there, and I flat sanded all this. This piece over here took a long time. Took about 45 minutes to get it straightened out. This channel plate was not that bad at all. It took about 15 minutes. Just get you the bench builder stone, and it does pretty good quick work of it, so that's what I've been using. There's other ways to do it. You can get you a marble slab and get the big sheets of sandpaper if you want to, and do it that way. I just used a bench builder stone. Alright, all this is going to have to be torqued down. Since we have this triple plate, I'm probably going to do it a couple times, let it sit 15-20 minutes in between, and do it again. Depending on how it feels the second time around is whether I'll do it 3 times. So I'm not going to sit here and make you watch me tighten all this down and torque it. There's no point in wasting time on all that. I'm going to tighten a couple of these down so it stays the way that it's supposed to. And you're going to want to work from the center out. Okay, since we're putting the triple plate in there, Transgo gives you new bolts for the solenoid assembly. So those are going to have to go on there. For our plate, our factory solenoid assembly has a gray connector. We want our manual valve to line up in that right there. And this has got to go in that channel. Once we're good, takes this bolt right here. .25 torques on that. And our detent dowel pin goes in the back. Bolt goes in this hole right here. Alright, we got 3 rubber seals that go in here. The coned end faces up. this little tip right here. It's going to sit. Where the heck am I looking at again? I don't know why I have a brain fart. Alright, our little tip right here is going to sit in that little slot right there. And our little jills are going to ride right there. Dowel pins sit in those two slots right there. You want to make sure this is sitting nice and flat. Since we changed the solenoid assembly to this, we had to change that plate. And our new bolts are going to go in here. We're going to torque this all down. I believe it was 105 inch-pounds. Alright, why did you move on me? Alright, what happened here? There we go. Alright. I'm going to torque all this down. And then we'll be back for putting this all in the case whenever the rest of these parts show up. And we'll see you then. Here, get your ring gear, get your output shaft, and this bearing goes on the back of your output shaft. Sun gear goes down. This bearing goes on top of the sun gear. Ring gear goes down. There's a flat snap ring goes in here. There we go. Got another bearing like that. Goes on top. Okay, low reverse. You need to make sure that this orifice plug is in here and that it's free. It's not clogged up with anything. Bell valve plate, the dish goes up. These little half moon clips we're going to put in here. And we're going to put the opening so that it's like that in between the fingers. It's got to sit down around that, on that right there. Just like that right there. We're going to go ahead and put our Sprag in here. There's a blind spline right there. Got to line up with the Sprag. This side here goes up, flat side goes down. It's going to turn clockwise, lock counterclockwise. Got inside and outside teeth. Start with an outside. there our pressure plate. This side goes up. Flat snap ring. Okay, on this one here, I use a cushion from a C6 to get the spring cage in. You can come up with whatever you need to get around it and get it in there. This one here can be a little bit more difficult to get in than some of these others. If you're going to have trouble with one, this is usually the one that you're going to have trouble with. Okay, getting stuck. There we go. Yeah, make sure we're all the way down. There's spring cage, short end of the taper, or snap ring facing up. Split this C6 direct drum bushing in half, and I open this up just enough to get my snap ring in there. Alright, be back. Alright, start off with steel. Pressure plate, doesn't matter which direction it goes, but keep this side that was down. Flat snap ring. Okay, then we got this ring. We want the dish up. Our snap ring, short end of the taper up. Got too close to the camera. Alright, and just pop it in there. Just make sure it's all the way down. On this drum here, got the lip is going to face down. The green seal is going to go on the bottom. red seal is going to go in the middle. This is a snap ring groove, so don't put anything there. Lube the crap out of this. This drum here, we got another lip seal just like the other. The lip's going to face down. Got another Orifice filter there. Make sure it's not plugged, and that it is in there. You got this O-ring here. Let's go in here. There's no need to take this bell valve plate out unless it's broken. Lube the crap out of this again. Lube up the back of this. Line up notches there. Put that down in. Lube up the crap out of it again. And don't say anywhere about this, but here's a feed hole in this drum. It's right here. I line that up with the feed hole that's in the drum here. Seems to go down easier there. I don't know why. So that's just what I do. Now you got your snap ring, and we look at the taper of the tips on this. It does not matter on this snap ring. You're going to go with the taper that is here. This is flat. This has got a taper here. You want the taper up. Does not matter what the taper is on the tip here. Snap ring pliers. This up again, and we got this piston here. There's another filter. Make sure it's in there, and it is free. Both sides. Yeah, gonna be difficult. Alright, there we go. Move that up. We've got our return spring here. We've got our balance piston. Now, on this one, it's much easier if you go ahead and start it now. Just barely going to be in there, but it helps to get it started before you go start trying to press it down. we go. Now on this one we are going to put the short end of the taper of the snap ring up. We're going to put the opening in one of these openings. Alright, get all of our hubs here. All these bearings are going to be the same, they're like that. So we've got one that's going to go on the back side here, this side in. Alright, you got your tan clutches, or steels. Alright, then we're going to put the flat snap ring. Make sure we're getting all this in the bottom groove. We're going to take our pressure plate. It's got the dots. Got the deep dish here, narrower in here with the dots up. You got the tapered snap ring. The taper is going to face up. It's recommended that you do not reuse this snap ring right here, but you always replace it. Another bearing, the back of the hub. We got our green clutches, our steels. These are thicker steels than the others. Alright, then we got a wavy snap ring. That's going to go in the bottom of the outside. We have our pressure plate here. It's got a recessed side that faces down, the number 1 facing up. We got a flat snap ring. I want the opening inside of here, not hanging halfway out of the notch here. Okay, then we have another bearing. Going to go on the back side here. Got a clutch, a steel, and our pressure plate's going to go with this side up. We're going to knock this down in there all the way. Got our flat snap ring, and we're going to pry the pressure plate back up against that snap ring. Alright. And this bearing goes on the front here. Bearing's going to sit this way. Got 2 sealing rings here. They're scarf cut, they go together just like that. Need to, you can put some grease in the groove, help keep those up in there. Alright. Alright, I gotta have my cart for parts, so we're gonna go ahead and stack what we can in the case. Right down in here is a wide lug, and there is a wide lug on here, right here. Our feed port's going to face the 6 o'clock. Wide lug is going to face up. There's a taper to this snap ring. This is a brand new snap ring that came in the kit. Opening is going to face at the 6 o'clock. Taper up. Now it's recommended that you replace the snap ring on every rebuild also. Alright, just want to make sure that we are all the way up into that groove. Then we got our planet. Make sure your bearings on the back. Make sure your bearings on the front. And these teeth are going to spline into the Sprag assembly down there. Alright. We have our planet here. Make sure our bearings on the back here. We have a plastic washer. You're going to make sure that this is damn sure all the way in there, because if you go to put your center support in and it's not, it will break it. And I should have left this off so I could show it. It only fits in there one way. If you don't get those tabs lined up, it will break it also. Alright, so we got the scalloped end is going to face down, and our little notches have to fit on these little tips right here. And now that I moved it off, I've got to find it again. Alright, right there. And this bearing goes with the lip up. Okay. We got 2 teeth and 3 teeth. The 3 teeth fit up towards the top, 2 at the bottom. Pressure plate down first. Okay, flat snap ring in the bottom groove. The support feed ports are going to face at the bottom. Snap ring taper is going to face up, and we don't want any of this snap ring in this opening right here. Alright, I'm going to end it wrong. Alright, here again we will make sure we are all the way in that groove. And none of the snap ring in that opening. Make sure your bearing's on the back. Alright, you know you're all the way down when this speed sensor ring is in the middle of this hole. So just look through the hole over there, and as long as it's in the center, you're good to go. Alright, as far as we can go till we get the rest of our pump. Okay, we got our pump here. We got our 3 gears that are in here. We have a flapper valve that goes in here. Sits right there, looks just like that. Transgo suggests that we leave this out, so we're going to leave this one out. We've got a plate that goes on here. Pump half goes on here. Make sure you have these 2 orifices in here. Your stator goes on. The 30 Torx bolts go on this side. And 5 inch-pounds on this. Alright, these sealing rings hook in just like so. These are 25 torques on all these bolts, and they're going to get torqued down to 40 inch-pounds. Alright, we're going to start in the center and work our way out. Okay, I don't want to have to change camera angles just to stick the pump in. So I'm going to put the pump in. It's got these 10mm bolts that hold it in. It only lines up one way. 40 foot-pounds on the pump bolts. I'm going to lube up the O-ring on the outside here. The cover's going to go on. And then here's the snap ring that holds the cover in. I always put my opening at the 12 o'clock. Once I get that in, get this up on the table, then we'll put the valve body on. Okay, technically you're supposed to take your linkage out, slide before your drums are in and slide it out. If you don't do that, it's not that big of a deal. It's 30 torques here. You slide it forward enough, it allows you to get a pocket screwdriver in there, and you just pop your seal out. The seal goes in with this side facing in. Just lube it up nice and good. And then just knock it in. Okay, our linkage is going to go around that right there. It's for our rod, and fold over. See if we can get a little bit of a view of it. This right here is going to hook into that. We're going to slide that all the way back. That'll allow us to be able to look up in there and see it. A little too far. And we'll know we're on when we push the linkage. If it ratchets like that, it means we're in there. Eight millimeters hold the valve body down. The wrong socket. Alright, valve body bolts are 105 inch-pounds. You're ready. I'm probably going to let this sit for a little bit and redo it because that plate so there's really not much need of you watching me put the pan and the tail housing on, I don't think. The park gear goes on. There. Got a snap ring that holds it on. Short end of the taper is going to be up. Silicone on the tail housing. Tail housing bolts are 40 foot-pounds, I believe it was. Yes, 40 foot-pounds. Pump bolts were 50 foot-pounds. The filter here has this plastic insert. Some of these I've been coming across have a metal one. I like those better. These plastic ones have a tendency to come off. Make sure this thing is damn sure it's tight. Grease up your seal a little bit. They give you a torque spec for it. I just tighten it down by hand. Just like I do with any oil filter, there's no point over tightening this thing, so you don't want to under tighten it. So once you contact it, it says 3/4 of a turn. There's 2-wheel drive and 4-wheel drive filters. This will be in a different spot. Pan will be different. Everything's in the way. Alright, 25 Torx holds that down. I took that bolt out for doing that deal on the pump. So 25 Torx here. This transmission came with a reusable pan gasket, so we shall reuse it. Normally I just silicone it, and also silicone the tail housing. I think I already said that. Our filler tube boot. We have the line pressure solenoid goes in here. And output speed sensor, input speed sensor, and they are held in with these 8mm. So other than that, we are done with this rebuild, and we'll catch you on the next one.